Okay, we are now live. So one of the things I want to do slightly differently in these streams now is I've been I've been a bit lazy with this, but I was reading a book called Game Engine Architecture. It wasn't actually for the engine, but it has helped reinforce some of the design philosophies and ideas that have gone into the engine, and I know it will help the engine in general. So what I'm gonna do, because I'm doing these streams on a daily basis, so I've read a reasonable amount, and my plan now is on the streams to read like one page turn, so a couple of pages or so, maybe a bit more, but just a couple of pages. Hello Herdingen. So we're going to do something differently now with the streams to experiment something else. So at the start of each stream, read a couple of pages of this, be about 5 minutes, so it won't take much of the stream, but I think you'll help, make sure I get through this and help the engine as well. So this is the third edition by Jason Gregory, who's the lead programmer at Naughty Dog, so Game Engine Architecture. Oh yeah. Yeah, it is a good book for what I've read so far. I was always reluctant to get edition 1 or 2 because of how expensive they was. I saw edition 3 over the summer in lockdown really cheap. It was like I think a third of the usual price. So I ended up buying it, and I was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna get it. So yeah, I'm gonna start the reading. It's like I'm doing some sort of religious reading here. Just a couple of pages. So we're on page 276, parallelism and concurrent programming is the chapter. We are on section 4.6.4.1, mutex versus binary semaphore. A semaphore whose initial value is set to 1 is called a binary semaphore. One might think that a binary semaphore is identical to a mutex. Certainly both objects permit only one thread to acquire it at a time. However, these two synchronization objects are not equivalent and are typically used for quite different purposes. The key difference between a mutex and a binary semaphore is that a mutex can only be unlocked by the thread that locked it. A semaphore's counter, on the other hand, can be incremented by one thread and later decremented by another thread. This implies that a binary semaphore can be unlocked by a different thread than the one that locked it. Or really, we should say that a binary semaphore can be given by a different thread than the one that takes it. This seemingly subtle difference between mutexes and binary semaphores lends to very different use cases for these two kinds of synchronization object. A mutex is used to make an operation atomic, but a binary semaphore is typically used to send a signal from one thread to another. Okay, consider again our productive consumer example in which the producer needs to notify the consumer when the data it produces is ready for consumption. This notification mechanism can be implemented using two binary semaphores, one that allows the producer to wake the consumer and one that allows the consumer to wake the producer. We can think of these semaphores as representing the number of elements that are used and free within a buffer that's shared between the two threads. Although in this simple example the buffer can only hold a single item, as such we'll call the semaphores G_sem used and G_sem free respectively. Here's what the code would look like using POSIX semaphore. Now there's a code here. I'm not going to read out the code itself. I'll have a quick look at the code. Seems all good. And yeah, so I'm going to read a couple more pages because there's a bunch of code actually on here, so the pages will be done quick. Implementing a semaphore. It turns out that one can implement a semaphore in terms of a mutex, a condition, variable, and an integer. In that sense, a semaphore is a higher level construct than either a mutex or a condition variable. Here's what the implementation looks like. So we got a class, got a semaphore method, a take method. It all looks like, and then we got some methods for wait, post, signal, down, up, p, and v. That was section 4.6.4.2. This is section 4.6.5. Windows events. Windows provides a mechanism record an event object that is similar in function to a condition variable, but much simpler to use. Once an event object has been created, a thread can go to sleep by calling wait for single object, and that thread can be awoken by another thread by calling set event. Rewriting our producer consumer example using event objects yields the following very simple implementation. So another set of code, and okay, so we've read 4 pages or gone through 4 pages. I'm gonna wrap up for Naughty Dog. So I think that's a bit mean. I love Naughty Dog. Crash Bandicoot, Jack and Daxter, Uncharted, and Last of Us as well. Top games. Love their games. Okay, so we've gone through 4 pages. Let's do the coding now. I may or may not do an advent of code today, depending on how we get on with the coding and how I feel about it, because I can't do a stream longer than like 2 hours is the absolute max I can do the stream. It's realistically going to be a 1 hour and a half, 1 hour 45, still, you know, long stream, but not going to be super duper crazy long. Maybe somebody can help me with an issue I was having. So I'm going to play a video and you're going to hear some static noise. VLC always slow on this computer for some reason. Do not know why. Yeah, I really like Last of Us 2, the story and the gameplay. Yeah, here we go. So I'm sure you can hear that. So I'm trying to record the PS5 screen, and I'm using the AverMedia GT553 capture card. When I plug my PlayStation 5 into the capture card, you know, into the TV, and then a USB cable into the PC, I can get the video and the audio fine. But the problem I have with that setup, which is the setup they recommend, is the GC553, and from what I can tell, a lot of other capture cards do not process surround sound like Dolby Digital and DTS. I don't want to stream in surround sound. I'm happy with stereo for that, but I just want to be able to play the game on my TV and have the surround sound whilst I'm streaming. So I just want to be able to use my surround sound. I bought you might have seen on a few streams ago, looking at a HDMI splitter. I bought that splitter where the out, like HDMI cable came out of the PlayStation into the splitter. Then there's 2 outs from the splitter, one into the TV, one into the streaming box, and the streaming box connects to my computer. That works from the perspective of I get Dolby Digital and DTS, so basically surround sound on my PlayStation whilst having the stream going to, you know, the video signal going to my computer, and I can potentially stream or record that. The issue I have then is that distortion that I get in the video. So it's, so far the current setup that I have is either I can't have surround sound and I can have audio on my stream or recording, or I can have surround sound and I get distortion on the game itself. So it is not the best solution at all. I haven't tried, and it's not the best. It's definitely not the best solution, is having the mic record the audio of what is playing. That just isn't very good. I would assume it's not as good as having a direct feed of the audio, but some help regarding that, especially while I'm coding, if anybody wants to Google that and figure out a way around it. By the way, I'm using an old amp. It is not an AV amp, it is just an old regular amp where the speakers connect to it. There's an optical cable that goes from a TV into that, so the TV is acting as like the intermediary sort of AV sort of thing. I was thinking potentially what my fix is, if I get a new amp, I do want to get an AV amp. So I'm thinking about this, getting an AV amp, and that HDMI that will go out to the TV, just that HDMI out, not the ones that go into the actual receiver, that one out, use that to connect to the box. But then that probably isn't going to, you know, transmit audio then anyway. So there's problem after problem. So if you have a solution or have an idea of how to fix that, that would be great. And while I continue with the code, let me get the Xbox controller out. Did I add it? I thought of a new feature that we could add to the engine. I don't know if I actually ended up adding it to the to-do. It's to do with the controller. So it was predefined controller types. There's something else I was gonna add as well. Can't remember. I'll have to look at it after. This is not what I was looking for, but I'll have a look at motion as well, because when you got stuff like Wii and PS3 Plus. PS3 Plus just meaning 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so I'm gonna give this a run. Okay, so let's see what we get. Let me open up the comments again so we can see any comments that are happening. Okay, so we get a successful gesture when we do that, but we also get a successful gesture if we move it that way. So let me have a look at this. If it's as long as really the first yos are getting triggered, which we do not want. The first set of yos are getting triggered. How can we prevent that from getting triggered? Hey, can you please tell us what library framework you are using? So the framework that I'm using is SFML. If we was to go to, let's say, the shape class, you'll see there are, you should see it soon. Yeah, there are SF stuff, which is SFML. That is built on top of OpenGL. We are not doing any OpenGL code in this series. Might potentially. There is possibility for that, depending on what features we need to add. But on top of it's SFML, and on top of that, we're building the game engine. So we're abstracting out the features of SFML in an abstraction layer, which is our game engine, and building in commonly used features from games. Okay, so this is when it's less than, when it's less than -10. Let me run this again. Let me just try something else. Let me literally try and make these, lower the amount of time you effectively have to do all of this. So we're gonna have not much time to do it at all now. What if I knock down these down to 0.1? Yeah, maybe we can make it work for just the timings themselves. That works better. Let me try and knock them down a bit more. Let me try and knock these down to that. And this was initially at, I think, 50. I mean, that works a lot better, that does. That works pretty darn well, to be fair. So if I give this a run, so remember the gesture we are testing is this. I don't know, actually I want to Google this. Let me shut this down. I'm going to Google paint cursor, because I don't like the cursor on it. Paint cursor Windows. Because I don't want to make a cursor. Windows paint change cursor color. Actually, you know what? Yeah, there is this. I'll change the cursor color in here. There's a pretty cool one that you can do it based on the background color. Going, it won't be thickness, but yeah, that's the one. So I think this dark now, lighter now. Hopefully that one works better. Nah, because they're overriding it with their own cursor. In all fairness, I do quite like this cursor mode. I'm gonna keep it anyway. I see this one a lot. There, so you just ensure that you can always, you know, see it. I don't know. Okay, yeah, so this is the gesture that we're doing, which is like that. If I do the gesture, that works well. If I try and do it the other way around, as you can see, it isn't working. If I do it really fast, it will work. But if I just do a normal speed, if I try and do it, let's say, down this way, again, that works really well. Okay, got a few messages. Bro, could you buy me something, Mohammed? Okay. Master the engine is built upon SFMO. Yo, Mohammed. Hello. Hey there. So what's the idea behind the game? What's the game about? So it's not a game. It is a game engine. And we're building on top of the SFML framework. This isn't to build a really low level engine, like I'm going to mention those guys again, but what the Churno's doing, what Molly Rocky used to be called Handmade Heroes doing, Jonathan Blow's doing some really low level stuff as well. Obviously other people are as well, but those are the ones I can think that are doing YouTube videos and are doing some sort of live streams as well. I don't know if Cherno does live streams, I can't remember if he does, but he does a lot of OpenGL videos and low level stuff, and these guys Hazel game engine. This isn't, you know, something like that. This is more a game engine that has commonly used features in there, like, you know, gestures. I don't think those guys will probably implement this sort of stuff. Again, I'm not saying it's complicated and they can't do it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's not something I think they would be doing. Yo, that works really well. Yeah, exactly, Herdingens. That's exactly the situation. So this is working really well now. So the next step that I want to do, it needs to be a bit cleaner and it needs to be abstracted into the joystick class or into a gesture class, most likely joystick. So I'm gonna have a little break. So we've got a few chocolatey things here. We got Belmont biscuits, seal bars. which is Audi's version of the Penguin. We've got Belmont Biscuits Chunky, you know, my favorite Chunky, and Wafer Bars. This is probably my least favorite out of the three, so I'll have this one first. I'll save Chunky for last because that's my favorite. One second, I'm trying to sell something. Okay, so if we go into joystick, I was thinking where the header file was. Is gesture triggered? What was that method? No, that's just that gesture. Ooh. Okay, so the way we would have to do this. One of my apps has just, not my app, but an app on my phone has just decided to go full retard. I'm opening all the wrong apps here. Yeah, I used to use .h. That's actually where I was taught, is .h, and then I came across it online a few years after I was taught. I had a look at the reasoning because I was like, .h works, so it's not like I did .hpp and I thought it didn't work, because I did see terms of C++ .h and .cpp, and then I came across it online. I was like, it's, you know, just a way to distinguish it, and I was like, yeah, that's a cool thing. Okay, so this runs on a regular basis, so we're gonna need a method that runs on a regular basis. It ain't gonna be this one realistically. Could be, but for now we're gonna say static bool. Actually, would it be this one, because there's checks in, there's stuff like true here. Is that really what you would want to be doing? You know what, I think I might just abstract this out into a gesture class for the simple reason it allows us to, let me comment this, for the simple reason it lets us expand it beyond just joystick gestures. Check if a basic gesture is triggered in a single direction. Joystick ID. Analog stick. I'll get rid of this. Okay, so we're gonna say joystick ID. ID of the joystick to be checked. The analog stick to be checked. What's this one again? Direction. Which direction? Which direction? Gesture is to be checked. Save that, build it. Okay, just bear with me. I just need to just do a couple of things. Be back in like 2 minutes. Okay, I am back. Hello, how are you? Love to see this. Okay, so we got a message from Herdingen that says, why don't you start to create some kind of gesture struct? First, that might be storing things like how many steps does the gesture have, first position to go on which axis. Do want to do stuff like that. I just want to get this abstracted out first before anything else. Okay, so I just want to get it abstracted out first. So let me create a couple of files. So add a class name, gesture, and we're going to have a HPP. That actually put it where I wanted to. I don't know where that's put it. Has that ended up putting it where? Oh, that legitimately is put in the documents. Don't tell me it's put in the documents. I didn't put in the documents. The where they put it. Unless it's put into the project folder itself. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna remove them from here. That was just stupid. Exclude from project. Don't save it. I will exclude this from the project. And then I'm gonna save. Okay, so let's go back here. Let's go. I've got a. Let me cut it. Actually, cut those bad boys, and we're gonna put them into the. Not both of them. Only one of them into the input here. I'll paste both of them here. Then I'll cut this one out and I'll put it into the source engine input. Boom, done. Can I not just sort of like do a refresh of all this, or do I just have to add it again? I'm just doing a rescan solution, see if that will work. And if it did, that would be great. I remember I did this a few streams ago. I can't remember what was the conclusion. I'm gonna have to add it manually, aren't I? Okay, so let me add this manually. Let me add the header file manually as well. Header file. Okay, so now let's say if we open up the gesture.hpp, we open up the CPP as well. We got nothing in here. Let's put a hash pragma once, and we're gonna have a class. No, first of all, we're gonna have the namespace sonar. Let me confirm that that is the namespace that we are using. Yes, a class now. So we're gonna have a class called gesture. Okay, so in here we're gonna have a public and we're gonna have a constructor called gesture, and we're gonna have anything like that. Let's get the commenting done at the same time. Okay. Okay, let's create the namespace here as well. Before that, we need to actually do the hash include. What format are we using in here? We're using like core, but it's not core though, it's input. Input, gesture, namespace, sonar. I'm gonna say gesture, colon, gesture. Yeah, that should be all good in the hood. Copy that. And now let's put the tilde. Where's the tilde again on my keyboard? There we go. Let's build it, see what we get. Okay, so that worked well. I'm just gonna throw this away. Okay, so so we got this gesture class. So we need to have some sort of update method in here. Should it be void? Should it be a bool? No, let's do a void and update. We could have a struct of what gestures we're going to put in and like the path like you were saying. So I do want to make it dynamic. The moment is heavily hard coded, but that's okay. I just want to get it abstractly. That's my current goal. We have a private here. And in the private, we're going to have this. We're going to have all three of these actually. Again, a lot of this will be removed. Actually, no, I'm not even going to mess around with that. I'm not going to mess around with that. I'll do the naming after. Hash include, and it is going to be a core file, clock, build. We should get no errors now. No errors. Fantastic. Say void gesture colon update. so we got the update. So what we're gonna say is we're going to copy this, put that into here. We're also going to we'll be deleting all this soon. It is moving. Okay, I can get rid of that. So we no longer did is started. So we can. I'm gonna just cut this. I'm gonna full on cut it. See if it produces errors. Those are minor errors that can be fixed by saying hash include input joystick build. See if this still gives me the errors. Nope, that is not an error that I'm fussed about. This is an error I'm fussed about. Okay, so yes, we can fix this by doing hash include. Can't wait to actually work on the debug class some more, because we do have a basic debug class. We're gonna have a lot more error messages and be able to toggle them on and off, so it's really gonna be useful for stuff like this. But again, it's a slow thing and we'll eventually get to it. So this is IO stream, build that, let's see what we get. It's working now. So I'm gonna see if this still works the same way. If I was to remove this from the splash state, I'll remove this from the splash state, and in here now, I've got to put this, forgot all about it, and I'm gonna put it in gesture. And what we're gonna say is, first of all, we need to go to the sonar, the HPP, and we'll duplicate, because this was gesture EFGHI, so we'll duplicate this one or this one, gesture, and then we need to go to here and just create a simple gesture. There's nothing that we're passing in as of yet, because it is not very dynamic at all. And we're gonna say gesture.update. Boom, run it, let's go. Okay, just bear with me, I just need to take care of I will be back in a minute. I am back. Sorry about that. Some guy just came over to buy a really old vacuum cleaner that I had. This is really small Black & Decker dustbuster one. Bought it for like 20 quid ages ago. I posted it for 20 quid knowing that nobody would pay 20 quid. It was just like, what's the lowest price? I was like, you come today, you can have it for a tenner. It's been on there for weeks. He came, he's bought it, and boom, free £10. I was going to throw that away anyway. I've got a Jashan V18. Okay, so let's continue with this. I was going to see if this gesture stuff worked. Okay, the gesture stuff is working currently as it is in, where it is. So first of all, let's this can be 1 second. Let me remove a lot of this code. We don't need this anymore. Don't need this. Don't really need this in anyway either. Don't need this. Okay, I remember her Dingens. Welcome back, thank you. I remember her Dingens posted about this, and I put it here. I can't remember if it was in last stream or a couple of days ago. This can be done by setting a bool when a gesture is triggered and checking which gesture was triggered at the end of the gesture. Okay, that still could be useful. So I am going to cut that, put it into the gesture, like just at the end, just in case. And I'm gonna say recommendation by Mr. Herdingens. That is spell your name? Yep, it is indeed. Okay, so now what we want to do is let's see what needs to remain, what needs to be removed. Can I actually, I want to check, can I remove these extra checks that I was doing? So let me see what happens, because that's the only place I'm actually doing the check. So if I remove it from there, and that won't work because I've still left the double ampersand, so I need to remove that. And let me see what happens if I run it. If this still works, then that's less code that we need. So we're basically just improving in that. Yep, that still works. That bit of code was not needed at all. So that means we can, from the gesture, remove this. So we remove that, we remove that, we can remove that, we can remove this, we can remove this, we can remove this. Next on check is the is moving required, because that's what happens when you're coding or making anything creative. You end up doing stuff like patching stuff up or doing stuff, and you think it's needed at the time. It might be needed at the time. Lol, Mr. equals her, Mr. dot equals her. Don't get the reference. Okay. What did I actually put it at? Okay. Yeah, what you might do, like you might figure out another way of doing it, but you might still have redundant code. Then you might just be under the illusion that that code is actually instrumental because now it's working. That code is part of it, therefore it's instrumental. Or part of anything, you could be making like a table, and you might have some support under the table to keep, let's say, all the wood together. And then it turns out that you've added more support, and their original support is no longer required. That might potentially be reinforcing it, but sometimes it might not be doing anything anymore. So that is something to consider. And let me run this, make sure it's still working, and then we will. Okay, so that is still working good. So now I want to see, is the is moving thing required? I can't remember if how crucial having this actually is. I feel like it might be. Let's give that a run. Nope, that is actually a required thing that is very important. See, we've figured out what wasn't important, what was important, and we're keeping those things in here. Okie dokie. So now we've got that. Let's have a look. I'm going to remove these yo's, the yo's, the yo. I'll leave the gesture successful for now. Okay. So now that we've got this, let's make it so this particular gesture is dynamic and we're not really relying on, this, in terms of the hard-coded values, and then we'll do all the other gestures. Mr. in English equals her in German. I forgot all about that. Indeed. Okay. So we got this gesture. We can check if this gesture is, successful. So now how can we make this? I remember Herdingen did make a suggestion. Why don't you start to create some kind of gesture struct first that might be storing things like how many steps does the gesture have, first position to go on which axis, and the time to do so, etc. That is a good idea. We could potentially do that. Let's see if that's the way we want to go, approach it. That's not a bad way. Okay, so let's hello Kusa Half-Life 1, I recognize your name. Great name, like I said last time. How are you guys doing? I'm doing great. I'm pretty sure everyone's doing good as well. Okay, so we're gonna create a struct, and this struct will have, it needs to have these points. Yeah, all these errors are because I haven't finished off struct. It needs to have the time. So currently there's 4 different sections. So we're going to consider this to be, actually that's another thing I want to check. Are these needed? I think they are, aren't they? Yeah, because otherwise you'll never reset back to false. I'm good as well, all fine here. What about you? Oh yeah, everyone's all good in the hood. Let's have a look. Yeah, that don't work. We do need those, to be fair, because they're the thing that trigger this for the reset. So let me have a look at everything that we need. So let me open up a Sublime. Yeah, that was that thing from last time, not that. I want this to be full screen. I've opened up Steam. Do not want to open up Steam. Close it. Not that. And Sublime. Okay, so if we have a... Okay, let's auto hide it for now. Make things a bit easier. So we have pos 1. I want to call it, position 1. Position 1, and that is an x of less than -50. Y, it is -20. And 20, and time equals 0.1 seconds. And then we have a position 2. That's less than negative 90. And this is still the same, so good stuff. Then we have a position 3, and that is x greater than negative 45, y less than negative 45, again still 0.1. And we have x is greater than negative 10, less than 90. So those are the 4 positions that we essentially want to check at the moment. We also need to factor in the 2 false, the what should we call them, the resets, the resets, and they're both the same. So the resets, or reset, is, I'm gonna copy this, reset, and that is x greater than negative 10, and there's no time on that. Okay, so these are the 4 things that we need to basically put into the struct. So for this y thing, for the position, okay, so how are we gonna organize that? I'm gonna have a little quick Google no, GitHub. I'll go to my C++ programming. Just have another sort of recap of structs again. Okay, so how should we format it? We'll keep them as integers for now, I guess. Integers are fine. So let's call this let's call this, what gesture would this be? What would we call this gesture? Does anybody know what this gesture is called? And I need to update something. $14 days now. Okay, so what is this gesture called? Like, what's that gesture called? Left hook? Left up hook? Left up 45 degrees? Oh, like, what is it? Like, what? I'm trying to think what games. PS4 video game gestures. Yeah, I literally, that's motion controlling, isn't it? That's not what we want. Oh, that's pretty interesting, but what is that gesture called? Yeah, literally. Let's put QTE games. I think might get some. We get. Let's go on there. Okay, let's have a look at these. Heavy Rain Heavy Rain had those, that QT. I'm positive of it. Heavy Rain QTE. I think they'll probably be in the 5C. Oh, Jesus Christ, that's a long video. That's L1R1 that he's using. That was a standard right gesture, circle. It's a motion control gesture. Yeah, Heavy Rain is definitely a great example of a game with a lot of QTE, but does it really well. Ah, there we go, on the doors. Yes, it is C++. So yeah, see, that's the gesture right there that he's doing. Okay, so I'll have a quick look at what these other ones. No, honestly, to be fair, Heavy Rain. I'm gonna have a list of all Heavy Rain gestures. Hopefully that comes up with something good. Maybe if I just go to the chapters of Heavy Rain, like some sort of tutorial, that he might actually name the gesture itself, like some one of the guides might. I know pretty. Oh, these are the endings. We don't want that. Sorry. Heavy Rain FAQ. If we go to a FAQ for Heavy Rain, let's open up one of these. Okay, so I think, is it the prologue where it's in the house at the start? Yeah. Here we go, the prologue. Free walk, take a shower. Did they mention the gestures? Doesn't look like it. Looks like they're just assuming that if you're doing it, you don't need to mention the gesture itself. Okay, we've also got a list right here, left, right, tilt twice and balance. No. I just want a name for the gesture. Fahrenheit as well, yes. I will Google gestures on Fahrenheit as well. Fahrenheit gestures. Nah. Cancel whatever that is. No, I was wondering what that was. Steam. Let me cancel. Where is it? Steam gone. Oh, there's that top there. Close it down. Okay. Obviously. Heavy Rain guide. See what IGN is saying. Maybe they've dumbed it down a bit more. That's actually, nah, we don't want the more sequence. That's the way sun dies. Spoiler alert. We want it at the start. 20 I'm not 23. I'm older than 23, but you get. So let's see if we can find where he does one of the gestures. See, it's just. See, I think this is the other thing that's just not talked about as much. Not just gestures, but just these stuff like this. One, how to implement them. Two, what are they even calling them? Like, that's the gesture that we want. I wonder if the guy has. No, I don't want a custom loop. Let me just put my phone on silent. Yeah, I am 29 at midnight. Basically 30. Okay, so it says, why not name it simply just left XC clock up for first X left, then counterclockwise up. Okay, so why not name it simply just left XC clock up for first X left, then counterclockwise up. Now, I still think gestures need names. Like, I think they all need some sort of naming system in there, especially if you're going to be triggering them. They need some sort of, name. I don't agree with that. There probably is a name for it. It's just, I don't know what it is. Okay, so let's. I'm gonna have a seal bar. I think I deserve it now. I'm in trouble when trying to export my game with Cocos 2DX for Android. What trouble are you having? What I would actually recommend is Kusa Half-Life 1. If you go to the Discord channel, if you're not already join the Discord channel. And in the programming category drop-down section, there's a channel for Cocos 2DX. Post there. That will get you the best response from probably anyone. But like, what is the problem anyway? They do need names. Okay, so Struct. I do quite like the name that you've given, something along those lines. So you said left XC clock up. Left. Yeah, well, what is the X again? For first X left. I still don't get what you mean by that. For first X left, then counter, then clockwise up. Left. See, I don't. Left clock up. I'll do left clock up. I'll name it that. Thanks for the inspiration with it. Yes, they do. You gave me the name. Okay, so what did we need? I had the positions noted here. Okay, so we needed create an array for this. Maybe is an array the best thing to do for like each one? So x, y, but like the y can have 2 on the second one. Time. Let's do float time 0.1f, and then we're gonna have int x equals -50. Int. Yeah, see, this is just part of it. Realistically, in this. First x, just think about it this way. From first x left, from 0, 0 position, joystick full left on the x-axis. Yes, I understand that. From there, counterclockwise up. Exactly clockwise up for this gesture, not counter. If you look, it's... Jesus, okay, so it's difficult to see this. It's going that way, so it is clockwise up, but I think that's just a little mistake on your part. So you're saying first x, so you were saying left xc clock up, still don't get what you mean with the xc. Unless that is the counter you were saying. Left clock up, left counter clockwise. I was going to put left clockwise up. I'll leave the name like this for now. Left clockwise up. How should I do this? Should I literally just create a variable called int pos x -50, int pos y, no, pos 1 y min -20? I mean, yeah, I guess really there's an issue with that. They are all the same time at the moment, so I'll do that for now. I'm gonna say it pos 1 x int pos 1. Again, I could have an array for this. Yeah, I'll have an array for this actually. So I'll have int pos 1 equals -50, -50, -20, and 20. So I'll just know on the implementation that it's going to be like this. So we get an error. Incomplete type is not allowed. There we go. It's not incomplete anymore. Happy? Okay, so we're gonna copy and paste this. Nope, you shouldn't do it this way. Oh yes, clockwise, my bad. Check your Discord. 1 second, I check my Discord. Okay, so let's have a look what you got. Something like this. So you're using pairs, time to finish. Okay, you got the number of steps. But even then, it's I'm still not quite seeing how your implementation, you know, I kind of see where you're going with it. I think it could be a better solution, but how it would work with these when there's, you know, 2 increments. You know, that's what I'm struggling to see. If you could help me out with that, I'll continue with this implementation. And if you could help me out with like a bit more of a concrete implementation. You have a gesture that only contains a step counter, and a vector containing all the gesture steps. Okay, yeah, basically a form of like almost like animation, kind of, but but then the, you know, different things happen on different. Again, I'm still not fully seen. Yeah, I understand about the iteration, but it's not the same thing happening, because it also then it splits off into this else if, and then there's slightly different things happening here and here. For now, I'll leave it like this, and we can update it later on if once I can get my head around that a bit more. But I see what you are trying to do. Okay, so this is going to be -90. It's going to be 45. And this is pod 3. And this is -10 and -90. I need one more for the reset. I will put int reset. This is going to be 2 reset to 1. We are having it as an array just in case for some reason we add a y as well. Y check -10. And now let's have a go at implementing this. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, why is that moaning? I don't know why things got swapped there. Yeah, that does, but then the can check rotation isn't always the same. It'll be at a different point. That's the thing that I'm, basically, thinking of. Again, if you have a bit more concrete implementation, I'm still not quite seeing it for what we're doing. I think for, let's say, more of a specific animation, I could definitely see your method working better. Again, your method still might work better. I'm just not seeing it yet. Left clockwise up dot pos 1 0. And what's that one about? Can I just make these as static? Can I do square selection on here? Yes, I can. One, 2, and this is going to be, I'll do all the resets after actually. This is going to be pos 2, copy that, and it's going to be 1 and 2, and this is going to be 3, and then we need to change the index in the square brackets to 1. Change this one, and check. Never updated that there. We never technically had a pos 4 array. And we're going to change this to reset. Copy that. almost done. We need to update the times to basically do something similar. This is, I'll sort that out in a second. Ooh. Hey Nick. Okay, so what are we trying to solve here in 5 words or less, please? 0 words, mate. Nah, so we was implementing gestures on the analog stick. We got that working, and that was just in the splash state. Yes, more than 5 words. Well, screw it. And just abstracting it out into a class now. That's what we're working on. And it's just the one gesture at the moment, which is this one. So you move to the left, then do a clockwise, heading ends up, a quarter of the way along the analog stick. We finally got this implemented and working after like, I think this is the 4th stream doing this, and then we'll implement the others, which is, you know, this one here, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. So, but we should be able to do them pretty easily, to be fair, as well. Okay, so I will fix the other issue in a second. Let's put time. Okay, so we need to fix this. A member with an in-class initializer must be constant. What's that more about now? No. Can I just not use structs like this? C++ structs with variables. Variable assignment. Trig probably would be helpful a little bit here. But again, you know, one of the philosophies I'm using with the implementation of a lot of this stuff is, you know, get stuff work, you know, real refine it afterwards. Hence why we did it all in the splash state, you know, the scene class, and then we are abstracting it out. Obviously some things will go straight to a more efficient, you know, implementation if I already know what I'm essentially doing with it, but the gesture stuff I did not know at all. Yeah, structs are like classes essentially, like the precursor to classes in C, so I don't think they're gonna work the way I want them to, are they? Let me get what the error is. Member with an in-class initializer must be constant. A member with an in-class initializer must be constant. A member with an in-class initializer must be constant. Okay, let's have a look what we get. Or can we basically just say copy that, you can initialize the struct with my struct f equals or my struct as in, alright. Or you mean actually my struct? Oh, you're saying a my struct f equals, and inside the struct to variable dot variable equals 0. Why? what implementation are you saying for that? You're not saying something like this, are you? That don't work at all. That's not what you're saying. Explain the problem. Okay, so we had the gesture stuff. That's not really the issue at the moment. So we have this gesture thing where there's 4 points that we are checking. We are checking this point here, this point here, this point there, and this point there. We're basically just checking, has the analog stick moved to those 4 points, and then we're moving on to the next check. The next check, and if it hits the last one, it's determining that that gesture has been successfully completed. So you can't, you know, just go the other way around, for example. So they were hard-coded values here before for like the time, for the Y position, for the X position, and now just abstracting here, because this is just left clockwise up, but we're gonna implement them for like this, which from what I can think about in my head, it's just going to be a change of values, so that shouldn't be much of an issue. Oh, just the struct thing. So yeah, what I basically want to do is have values for these. Maybe struct isn't even the best thing to be storing them in. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Or having the struct and then initializing it in the constructor. Maybe that's what you were saying. Could potentially go down that route of things. So where I have, but then I'm basically having, I would have 8 lots of struct implementation. Nah. Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's another game with gestures as well. Check the stream. It's all green. No drop frames. And we should be all good. Yeah, no drop, no nothing. All good. Some more of this fake penguin. That's what I tried to do. It didn't work. Didn't let me do it. Or can I not do it on an array? Okay, let's see what you got. Okay, I do this. Think of the joystick as a coordinate system. 0, 0 center position. Take any joystick position, then take a second position and use trig to figure out the angle between the two. The actual implementation that we got, though not the most elegant, it does work. So that's not the issue we're having. I'm just having an issue with struct. I'm having a C++ issue and not a game, issue, game development issue. Okay, so static 2 lines firing out to the origin towards both joystick positions and get the angle. C++ struct static variable. Yeah, well, I'm gonna have a look at some of the Doom GitHub and Half-Life GitHub. I'll find sometimes looking at their stuff, even though they might not have something exactly what I'm doing, can give me some inspiration. Nope, not what I wanted at all. Where is it? Let's have a look. Yeah, they are just using structs like this. I could use a type def struct and then have one for each individual thing. Then just implement them after, to be fair. I'm gonna try this then. Type def struct, and what was it again? So I'm gonna say left. Now we'll do right. Counter clock wise up. And okay, so we're going to remove all of these. We're going to remove all of this. So what we're going to say now is Charlie initialize them now. So left clockwise up. Pause 1 0. God, can I just do this? That's not working. I need some. See what the error is. I need a bit of recap on structs by the looks of it. Okay, so why didn't dot work then? Or maybe it worked and just wasn't showing it. Expected an identifier. What identifier do you want? Let's get the time working first. 0.1f. No, that wasn't it. In the sonar gesture though, that's just it. Fix that, but this is not working the way I wanted it to. This is a bit. So I've got the struct. But we got mine.title. If I remove the type def. That has now disappeared, that error. So let me do one for left clockwise up dot pos 1 equals now it won't let me assign it with it like this. Now I'm gonna need to do them individually. I think you can do them like that unless they're at the you're doing here when you're declaring it. One, two. Okay, so let's copy this. Copy these. Minus 45, minus 45. Almost there. And this is pos 4, pos 4. This is negative 10. This is negative 90. Great that you posted it. Good stuff. Somebody, you know, just be patient. That's the thing I would say. Crucial Half-Life 1. I know some people post in there and they're like, nobody responded. It's only been 5 minutes. It's going to take a bit of time, but people will help out. So, you know, just be patient. Unless your life depends on it, then, you know, just be a bit patient. Joker D. Younger says, well, hello. Well, hello there. The reset. I think we're all good to whack him in properly. Actually, it'd be quicker if I literally just copy that, search for all instances of that, replace it with that dot, replace all. Now I'm going to give this a whirl, make sure this is still working the same way. Okay, still getting errors, so we'll see what the errors are about now. What? I shouldn't be doing that, should I? Shouldn't be calling it a gesture, because that's obviously going to cause conflicts with the class name. Don't we? We got the problems now. this already defined? What? They're only in the physics world. It must be to do something like this hash pragma once. That's what it must be. Okay, so if I go to physics world, yeah, we haven't got any of that. Where that stuff is moaning about. What is this moaning about? You could type CNTR plus R plus R. Know what that's about. This will help. Change your name real quickly. Linear algebra to the rescue at Herdingens. Yeah, very nice. I don't see what's happening here. Let me just remove this. Still getting errors though. I'm pretty sure it's nothing to do with this. Okay, I'm going to give this a commit because I'm going to need to wrap up now the stream. So Q&A time, quick couple of minutes. If you have any questions, let me know now because I need to wrap up. I've got to head out somewhere. I'll just put gesture as broken struct. Commit to master, then push to the origin. Let's have the chunky. Okay, so like I said, Q&A time. Let me know any questions. I will be wrapping up the stream now. Let me just type it in here as well. Q&A time. Any questions, let me know, as the stream will be ending momentarily. They spell momentarily? It would appear so. Time for the final awesome chocolate, the chunky from Aldi. Would be in a bit better if it was chilled. Don't like it too chilled. My dad likes it really chilled. It's like chewing on a, jawbreaker. Just a little bit. It's a bit molded. Okay, I'm gonna go and throw these away, wash my hands, go to the toilet. When I'm back, if there's no questions, I'll be ending the stream. So, back in a couple of minutes. I am back. So, no questions at all. Time to end the stream. Thank you for watching. I will be doing another one tomorrow. Might be doing it earlier than usual, more lunchtime UK time. Got a few other things I need to do in the evening. It's my birthday, so I won't be able to do the stream at the regular time, which is unfortunate. Birthday getting in the way of the stream, but I'll just do it earlier because the stream is important and it is more important than the birthday, and I need to make sure that I do it. And we'll be reading a bit more of the game engine architecture tomorrow. Wow. So I'll be continuing with that, and I'll see everyone tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Have a good day, have a good weekend, and overall